So it's January 1st. You just woke up and realized, damn, it's actually 2025. And you know what that means. Time to pull out the journal, write resolutions for 2025 at the top, and jot down all your big ideas. By the time you're done, you've got a huge list of goals and you're feeling unstoppable. Might even catch yourself thinking like, why can't every day be like this? Then a week goes by, goals still waiting. A month, still nothing. Then 3 months, half a year, and before you know it, it's January 1st, 2026. You're right back where you started, making the same promises to yourself, wondering why it's so difficult to make progress. If that sounds familiar, trust me, I get it. I think we've all been there. But when I reflect on all of these years, I recently realized that there was one thing that was keeping me stuck in this vicious cycle. And here's the thing. If we don't make a change now, we're going to keep leaving things on the table, like real self-alignment, purpose, meaning, and fulfillment, and living a life that you actually want to live. One where you're waking up with energy in the mornings. You actually have clarity on where you're wanting to go. You're doing the tasks that you need to do without friction. It's just seamlessly flowing. I mean, that's what we're all looking for here, isn't it? And if you're in your 20s, please realize one thing. I'm 29 years old. If I could go back and talk to myself at 21, 25, I would tell myself, now is the time to do the thing that's on your mind. Now is the time to go after it because you don't have all the baggage that comes later in life, inevitably. Turn consumption into creation, self-doubt into self-discipline, fear into fuel, and guilt into grace. Forget all the years that you've messed up. Forget all the years that you've quote unquote wasted. Let's give ourselves some grace and just go after it this year. This is your year to make a comeback. So by the end of this video, my goal for you is simple. I want to inspire you to take massive action this year. I want to help you create a system that you can strongly lean on, especially during hard times, because we know times are going to get tough. And 3, give you some resources to help you get started. This is the year that we all level up. So let's get straight into it. Stop seeking more advice, trying to control the outcome, holding on to the past, wasting evenings and weekends, and spending more than 30 minutes on social media every day. Start working on a digital asset every workday, posting one reel, one carousel, and one YouTube video a week, and producing every single week. Keep staying consistent in the gym, giving yourself grace, and documenting your creative ideas. This is what I wrote on the final day of my cruise a couple weeks ago with my family. This was something that my mom wanted all of me and my siblings to go on with all the nieces and nephews. I have 10 nieces and nephews. On the final day, I set an intention to sit down, think about 2025, and really make a plan for myself. You know, like what better way to think about and strategize my year than to be in the middle of the ocean where there's literally endless possibilities. I mean, a little bit of fear as well. Thank God I didn't get seasick. But doing this and taking advantage of just being somewhere outside of my comfort zone, like this place, little side tangent, this is my new spot. For those of you who have watched my videos, you might notice a different backdrop. We're in a new spot and it feels so good. Let me just tell you, like having all my equipment up again and making these YouTube videos feels so good. I feel like I have room to breathe. I feel like I have my equipment in a place where it's not cluttery. It doesn't feel like it's making me anxious like it did in the last spot. Feeling grateful. And when you are planning out your year, I think it's very important to start this practice of journaling, exercising, doing your goal setting, starting it off with gratitude. You know, like what do you have right now? Remind yourself of all the things that you have. My community, a roof over my head, food, water, and shelter, the ability to move my body, plants, sunlight, and long walks, coffee, incense, and long talks, deep house music, this moment, and life itself. Your energy is your biggest priority. And if you're going into this year, if you're going into this exercise with feelings of fear or less than, lack, scarcity, I challenge you to just reflect on all of the beautiful things that you have in your life. So anyways, as soon as I finished doing this journal session on the boat, on the cruise, I remember just closing the journal and feeling so much conviction in myself that I could actually make this happen. Years prior to this, I would sit down and, do this goal setting practice, but there were a few things that I was not doing that I'm gonna expand on in this video that were causing this vicious cycle over and over and over every year. And so I feel like this year really is going to make the biggest change in my life personally. And I just want to share what I'm working on so it can potentially help you as well. So if you do want to see my process of goal setting, strategizing, and just creating a system for myself, make sure to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to give you a full detailed outline of how I approach this process. One beautiful lesson that I learned last year from a friend of mine is that expression alleviates depression. The opposite of depress is to express. So if you are feeling down, express yourself. Talk about your feelings with somebody you trust. If you feel like you don't have anybody in your life that you trust that you can open up to, that's where the journal comes in so much handy. So let's reflect on last year, right? What did you do great at? How much growth did you experience? What did you learn from your mistakes? That's the easiest place to start, right? We can think about all the mistakes we made last year, which are pivotal for growth. Failures are wins, as long as you course correct based off those bumper lanes that you're creating for yourself. Here are a list of other lessons, just very briefly, of what I learned last year. Solitude replenishes, isolation diminishes. It's impossible to be ungrateful and unhappy at the same time. Embrace change. Time under tension equals growth. Do whatever you want, just know the consequences. Surround yourself with friends that bring out your inner child. You're not behind, you're right where you need to be. And most of all, the biggest lesson that I learned is the power of consistency. Last year, I was posting for roughly about 20 weeks in a row at the beginning of the year, and that is why I reached the growth that I have on this channel. I noticed that when I was posting every single week, I was building momentum. I was embracing the identity of being a creator. And funny enough, as soon as I stopped posting consistently, the videos that I was posting didn't perform as well. When I'm not consistent, I'm opening up the door to a lot of self-sabotage, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of friction to just put the equipment together and get started. And I am giving myself grace because at the time, there was a lot of things going on in my business with clients that demanded more of my attention. And I'm going to expand on that later on and give you some more detail. But my energy, or my creative energy that I had, was basically being used towards my clients. And then there's just the natural side of my first year being single after a long-term relationship. So yeah, I got distracted and I'm not beating myself up about it. So however your year went last year, the most important thing to do is to give yourself grace. Because what's the point in beating ourselves up? We can't go back and change things. We can't go back and, do things differently. And chances are, wherever you went or whatever you did last year was necessary to get you to where you are today. Now I have even more energy to stay consistent this year. And I think it's because of the break. I think it's because of, quote unquote, getting distracted. So give yourself some grace. That's the most important thing of all. Now, the only reason I was able to do this start, stop, and keep in my journal is because I had a direction for myself. A mistake that we can make when we're doing this goal setting session or strategizing the new year, doing the resolutions, is that we stop at goal setting. We don't necessarily break it down into bite-sized chunks. So that's the next thing we're going to dive into. Is I'm going to share with you exactly my whole journal exercise and how it helped me just gain confidence and clarity for moving forward this year. So first of all, you want to break your goals down into manageable chunks that make it more digestible on a daily basis. So for example, let's say that you want to hit 6 figures this year. You want to hit 100K. Just doing simple math, if I want to make 100K in a year, that means I need to make 25K every quarter, and I need to make about 8.3K every month. And that's somewhere around 2.1-ish K per week. Now, let's say you're a video creator, right? What are your income sources? One is creative coaching, brand sponsorships, affiliate marketing, YouTube AdSense, digital products, done for you video editing or branding services. And these are just examples from my own experience. But once you have all your income sources listed out, now it's time to actually give those income sources a price. Now, I would recommend doing this on a quarterly basis. Let's say that for creative coaching, you want to make a total of 5K this quarter, 3K from brand sponsorships, 1K from affiliate marketing, 2K from YouTube AdSense, 2K from digital products, and 12K from done for you video editing and branding services. And by the way, just to give some insight on what done for you video editing and branding services is, it's like, it's no different than just working with another brand and you're their person to help them strategize their content, you help them film their content, you help them edit their content, and you help them publish. So you take all that load off their shoulders and just help them grow their brand through your expertise. But based off this model that I just listed, we can see that done for you video editing is the highest income source, meaning that most of our energy is going to go to done for you video editing, right? Now, going back to my story about last year and how the last 6 months I fell off, editing videos for other brands, it's going to take your creative energy. We can't just half-ass for your clients, right? So that's inevitably going to take some creative energy from your brand. And the reason why I'm making this a point is because whenever I was first writing out this exercise and I was strategizing how I could reach these goals, I realized that I don't necessarily want to make most of my money from done for you client work because I want that creative energy back to myself. So with that being said, create a couple different strategies. So like we just listed out 5K for creative coaching, 3K for brand sponsorship, so on and so forth. I challenge you to make several different plans for how you could reach it. So for example, let's say I wanted to double down on creative coaching. So instead of 5K a quarter from creative coaching, I want to make 10K. This would require a difference in strategy. I'm spending more time on calls, but it would also mean that I would have more energy to create my own videos. So for me personally, that sounded sexier. But think about how you want this to fit your daily routine. What you can do is just create several different options of how you could see yourself hitting that revenue goal and list out the pros and cons of each strategy. I do want to make it clear that one driving force for me making the decision to step back from done for you editing and whatnot is that my purpose is ultimately in my personal brand. It's not necessarily in creating videos for other brands, right? Because I'm helping them grow their brand. I want to help myself grow my brand and fulfill my purpose. And that's because I have a good idea of what my dream life looks like. I don't want to be creating videos for other brands and, like living in that rat race. But that's just me. Maybe that's fine with you. You're okay with growing an agency model. You're okay with building a team and doing that long term. I don't want to, and that's what makes me different. So if you don't know where you're headed, start just daydreaming about what you see your life like at age 50. How are you operating your days? How do you start your days? What work are you working on? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? These are all helpful exercises because it gives you direction in moments like this. A mistake that we can easily make is like thinking about the life we want to live and feeling like it's so far away that we can't actually start living it now. And the truth is that you can definitely start living parts of that lifestyle immediately. Remember, it's you against yourself. Once you have one of those plans that you feel confident with that you could actually bring to life, the next step is to create your daily routine. This is where systems come into play. Now, a key thing here, and I'm going to be very, 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 very careful saying this, is to be very realistic with yourself. I personally don't like the word realistic in most cases. There was one time in college when I was working as a server at Chili's. I had this table, I think it was like the middle of the week, it's very slow. So at the end of the night, there's this older couple sitting at one of my booths. And as I dropped off the dessert, they asked me a little bit about me. They're like, what are you doing? Are you in college? Are you in school? What are you studying, etc. So I tell them about me studying in finance and marketing. Their faces light up like, oh, that's really awesome. And then I told them, but I really feel passionate about photography and I want to build a career in photography. Obviously that has changed. I don't necessarily care to build a career in photography anymore, but you can see how this led me here. Anyways, the first thing she said to me in response was just make sure that you're realistic and can bring food to the table. At the time, that kind of hit really hard. I was a lot more sensitive then, really kind of ticked me off. And I don't like when people say to be realistic with your dreams. But in this case, I want you to be realistic in setting up your daily routine, because a mistake that I made a couple years ago was dreaming about this year that I was going to have this full 180 in my life. I was going to start waking up at 5 a.m. I was going to start going to the gym at 6. I was going to just live this David Goggins lifestyle. And that just fucking put me into burnout immediately. So when I say be realistic, know who you are. If you don't wake up early, don't jump into waking up at 5 a.m. The point is to work around how you already operate and where you're currently at. It's just not realistic to be living like David Goggins tomorrow. And I think we can all agree with that, right? Now, to start, let's clear some things, okay? What obligations do you have to work around? Do you work? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? Because obviously, if you do have any of these, if you work a 9 to 5, then you can't really do anything between 9 to 5. Unless you work at a job where you can finesse your way into doing some creative work or whatever on the side. Maybe you can start hitting the gym during your lunch breaks. Next, you want to ask yourself, what are the gaps of free time that I have that I can use towards reaching my goal? So if I have a fitness goal of losing weight, what time can you go to the gym? What is reasonable? Not realistic, what is reasonable? I like that. It's a lot better. Do you want to go before work? Are you the type to wake up early? Can you wake up 2 hours earlier? Is that something that you can do and see yourself being consistent with? Or is it something that you want to do at the end of your workday? But the one thing that I really, really love and that changed my life over the course of my career is a book called The One Thing. And here's the one question from the book that makes all the difference. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? When you are scheduling out your days, you want to think about what is the one thing that I need to do this day that is the most important and the most urgent. So for example, today the most urgent thing for me was to film this video because unfortunately, I already filmed this video a couple of days ago and I was editing it back and it just was not fitting my vibe. It was very important to me to show up a certain way, especially for this being the first official video back with the whole setup and just the whole process. So my one thing for today was to rewrite the script and film this video. Everything after me filming this is secondary, but I know that for a fact, by me filming this one thing first thing, it's going to help me feel satisfied at the end of the day. It's going to help me move the needle forward towards reaching my goals. I'll leave a link to that in the description. It's a fucking phenomenal book. If you want to read it, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're trying to create a system for yourself right now. This would be a great book to read as you go into the new year. And now if we take a step back and we think about how we want to reach our income sources. How much do you want to put towards YouTube? How much do you want to put towards affiliate marketing, coaching, promoting your coaching services? This is where your daily routine starts to come into a tangible strategy based off your annual goal. By breaking all of this down into very bite-sized manageable chunks and using the one thing method, it gives you a sense of confidence that, okay, I have this huge lofty goal, but I really feel like I can do it. So the whole point of doing all this is to create a system that you can follow and one that you can strongly lean on, especially when times get tough, because there's going to be times when you don't feel like doing it. You're not going to feel like going to the gym. You're not going to feel like sitting down and doing the one thing. But you know that if you just sit down and do it, you just go to the gym, the chances of you reaching that 100K at the end of the year is so much more likely. A useful question that I like to think about at the end of the week is, if I continued operating the way I did this past week, will I reach my goal? If so, why? If not, why? And if you want something that's going to help you take action and really create change in your life, I have a few resources that I'm going to just plug really quick. So first of all, I have a free resource that's going to help you do the start, stop, and keep and just imagine your daily routine. That free resource is in my description. It's called Design Your Year. Another thing is my Notion template Dreamflow operating system. This is a product that I made last year and it has completely changed my life. I wanted to create something that was fully optimized and felt like it was going to just help me stay on top of my creative process, help me manage my creative business, and even custom templates and dashboards specific to YouTube and Instagram. So if that is something that is interesting to you, go check it out. The link is in my description. There's a lot more information there. It is a pretty big dashboard, so I made sure to include video tutorials to just help you understand how the template works. But there is something really, really cool inside of the template, which is a weekly review system that would help you stay on top of your goals this year. And that's why I believe Dreamflow operating system is the ultimate solution, especially if you're a creator, an entrepreneur, or somebody who's just simply trying to just stay on top of their shit. I think a useful question that we can keep in mind this year is to always ask ourselves, what is this moment teaching me? When you are feeling distracted and you're yearning for your phone to doom scroll through social media, what is that distraction teaching you about yourself? When you work really, really, really hard towards a goal and you don't reach it, What is this teaching you about yourself? When you're reflecting on your week and you're realizing that you didn't operate the way you wanted to, and you were maybe avoidant on one of your goals, what is this teaching you about yourself? I challenge you to start doing a self-audit consistently. That's why the weekly reflection system is so helpful. But do it with grace. Do it with curiosity. Don't beat yourself up, because it's so easy to self-sabotage these days. We are way too good at getting in our own way. And sometimes we just need to hug ourselves, give ourselves some grace so that we can attract the energy back that will allow us to reach our goals this year and stay consistent and just get back up when we get hit in the mouth, right? So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments. Leave a like too if you want to support. I'm excited and I hope you are as well. Cheers to a happy new year, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Bye.